Traditions have been around since the beginning of time. Events take place with one generation and they are continued on into the next generation. Often these traditions have lasted for years, decades, and even centuries. As we think about the holiday seasons, we witness all sorts of traditions that have been in place for centuries. Let's take a brief journey down the road of the Thanksgiving tradition and what it means to me. In the early days of the Americas, long before we became the United States of America, visitors from abroad broke bread with the Indian natives of this country. The Pilgrims and the Indians sat down in peace and harmony to share a meal. So many of our Thanksgiving traditions started with this event, which took place sometime in the 16th century. As a result of these initial and legendary encounters, many stories have been written, and many plays or TV series have been enacted to retell the story of the Pilgrims and the Indians. Thanksgiving normally marks the first extended holiday that many school systems across the nation experience at the beginning of the school year. Because the story of the Indians and Pilgrims is historical and legendary, America's public school teachers often include the Thanksgiving story as a normal part of their curriculum. Lee Wade primary teacher Pam Washington really goes all out in teaching her children about the Pilgrims and the Indians. The focus in her class was the Indians. She and one of her colleagues came together so that the children could get the full experience of the two different cultures coming together to share the first Thanksgiving meal. The story and the tradition does not stop with regard to being practiced in schools. It transcends schools and takes on a total life's experience. Let's look at the practicing of this tradition in my family. As a young child who did not realize that he was poor, I always looked forward to the Thanksgiving holidays. It marked a deviation from the traditional meals which we grew up on to the serving of turkey and ham and dressing and cranberry sauce and more. My mother passed away when I was a teenager in 1973. My father passed in 1986. We have lost 3 brothers and sisters since the passing of Father. We have even lost our oldest son who represented the next generation. Even though our parents have passed and even though we have experienced the losses from the next 2 generations represented in our family, the brothers and sisters along with the nieces and nephews continue this tradition in the Thanksgiving dinner with the family. Regardless of what is going on in our busy schedules, the Washington siblings, their children, and their children's children take time out to come together for Thanksgiving. Just as it happened with the Pilgrims and Indians, the social event continues to involve food. It continues to involve the traditional turkey, as it probably did in the 16th century. Just like the Pilgrims, a religious group, probably began their meal, our meal also began with a prayer. The traditional meal is enjoyed by all. We even have some room left for dessert. There is plenty of time for social activity. The interaction among many of us who only see each other once a year is something to cherish. The brothers and sisters reflect on the times together when they grew up in the same household. The first cousins talk about the latest and greatest in their respective young worlds. The second cousins enjoy their time playing together with new playmates who they somehow know are related to them. A uniqueness of our Thanksgiving holiday with each other is that we carry over into another holiday. We exchange Christmas gifts at this time. We also give gifts to the great nieces and nephews, since most of the nieces and nephews are now grown. As the brothers and sisters get a little older, they know that they soon will have to turn this tradition over to the next generation. While there may be 6 degrees of separation among people with regard to relationships, as we also know that first cousins are not as close as brothers and sisters, and second cousins are even further apart. With this being said, the current generation in our family just has to wonder who will take on this family tradition. Will the next generation continue it together, or will they continue it only with their respective families? Will it be a combination of both? As persons who cherish traditions, we may wonder about the future of these traditions we cherish. I must feel that those who began the traditions wondered the same thing. Centuries after the first Thanksgiving, we still have the tradition practiced by countless communities and families throughout the world. We have presidents pardoning turkeys and saving them from the dreadful axe. In Virginia, the governor practices the tradition of the Indians paying their annual taxes to the Commonwealth with a turkey. All around us, we have residual activities that somehow are associated with the first Thanksgiving holiday. I have a feeling that this tradition will go on for generations to come.